Hey there, everyone! I hope you are all doing good. Stasma here. Welcome to this new Gear Talk video. This one is going to be about Frap Tools from Italy. This video is sponsored by Frap Tools as they sent me all these modules to try at no cost to make that video. I'm going to show you around this little system that I've built. All these modules are based on Dunbuckler circuits or surge circuits, but Frap Tools are very good at putting a lot of functions into a single module. So all these modules have lots of things going on inside, and it makes that very small system an incredibly powerful synthesizer. As I like to make self-contained instruments, I would just wanted to experiment with those three and see how far I could get with them. So I'm going to explain a little bit what West Coast synthesis means, and I'm going to show you some of my favorite recipes in the West Coast synthesis realm. It's going to be fun. Let's get into it. Have fun. Okay, today we dive into the deep weirdness of West Coast synthesis with Frap Tools System 0. Let me talk to you about the modules. The main attraction, let's say, is the Brenso. It is a dual complex oscillator, which is based on the designed philosophy of Dunbuckler, and its predecessor was the 259 complex waveform generator. This guy does take that concept much further, adding lots of VCA inside to control lots of things in time. And also, this is a true zero frequency modulation capable oscillator. We'll go back to this later on. So this is a beast, basically. This is a giant monster of sound generation. Then we have this guy, the Falistri, which is a modulation box plus utility. It has two function generators that can be either LFOs or envelope or oscillators. There's also a frequency divider, a bipolar VCA, the red section here, and a slew limiter. Once again, a lot in one box. And we have this guy, which is a clock, a sample and hold, that can go to audio rate, so you can use it as an effect processor, and a fluctuating random voltages generator. The last module I forgot to mention is the Trace by Vostok Instrument and DivKid. I just found it was visually right with the rest, and I had 4 HP left. And I just wanted to add something unusual, not a classic like VCA or low-pass gate, just something that will make me do some different stuff. And what this does is you have 4 inputs and 1 output, and basically you travel through these 4 inputs at the output with this fader or with control voltages. All this to say that this can be your perfect starter point with a very compact setup to create weird sounds in the West Coast synthesis kind of way. So let's get to the basics first. So let me explain how that West Coast synthesis thing starts. It starts at the oscillator because instead of using 2 or 3 oscillators, first into a mixer, then to a filter, and animate that filter like the subtractive East Coast synthesis school does it, I mean by that Moog, ARP, all these things. The Buchla school use wave shaping that kind of goes in reverse of the subtractive one. So if we take that final output, right now I have no sound. Because this parameter fold is at 0. Now we start to hear something, and the more we push it, the more we add harmonics to our signal. So the main thing of these kind of complex oscillators is wave shaping. They have a final output where you can tweak the sound, usually with a timbre or fold parameter, which is this one. And all the others are going to affect that final result. So it's one of the most fully featured complex oscillators there is. There's so many aspects you can move at the same time. Let's say we want that to move now. So the basic operation as well of a complex oscillator is to have the second one, the green one here, pre-patched to many destinations, one of which is the wave shaping section. So first, the sine wave of this oscillator goes through that section, the VCA, and when we open that VCA, and the corresponding attenuators we can dial in the amount of modulation from this guy to all this. The sine wave is pre-patched here, but we could replace it with whatever. Could be the saw wave for a more percussive effect, or it could be something else altogether. My favorite is fluctuating random voltage from the guy over here, because it makes everything move slowly and weirdly. Oh, fast and weirdly. But I prefer the slow one. And this can also be done at audio rate, of course. Two oscillators are well tuned together, you get some lovely beatings and overtones. One of the great stuff is that there's VCAs everywhere in there, so you can modulate the amount of this. But that's not it. We also have frequency modulation. So I can straight away tell the green oscillator to modulate in a linear fashion but through 0. So you dial in your exponential and linear FM here. And then you can sweep it from here or send control voltages once again, because this is VCA. So this is linear FM and exponential. Back to final out. We also have pre-patched ring modulation. Or amplitude modulation. You can once again patch whatever you want as a signal. If you don't want the sine wave of the green oscillator. A combo that I love is to use sync on top of this. Plus FM. Because FM goes both ways. Here we have the yellow oscillator pre-patched here. Inject noise into this, controlling some aspects of the wave shapes. So let's talk about that new control-free kind of setup. It is my trusty friend, the Polymetric tracker, that is sending MIDI to the AirMod Plus, that is handling MIDI to CV, plus a few modulations. Totally overkill for this setup, but I'm learning it, so I have to use it. And so I'm controlling the Frap Tool mini system with all this. This is MIDI channel 1. Played by the green oscillator, simple triangle, perfect bassline thing. I'm using the trace as a VCA and the yellow envelope as an envelope. Second CV is the yellow oscillator. I've used CC1 with some random things from the tracker, slewed a little bit to be sent into the modulation VCA for all the wave shaping things. Let's bring in the breakbeats. Breakbeats is just mono out of the tracker through ears and to the input of the sample and hold of Bagai. So I can make that classic sample rate reduction thing that I can even automate using the onboard fluctuating random voltage. The same random voltage is being sent to the FM bus of the yellow oscillator, and so I can use it once in a while just to make a weird pitch bend type thing. This was meant to make it happen on a regular basis, but it doesn't really work. Let's remove it. Alternatively, we could use the red output of the guy for a more bit-crushed sound. So even without effect back to our simple sine wave, we can easily get extremely weird tones by dialing in frequency modulation on both oscillators, creating a feedback loop. When maxed out, it will create everything from noise to weird rhythms. It's completely unpredictable. And I always loved to use this to make weird percussions. Send that short, plucky envelopes. Send the sample and hold. yes, to the length of this envelope for random behavior. And patch more random to the pitch, so I get completely random glitch weirdness. I've always been amazed by how weird analog circuitry can sound when it's stressed out like this. Perfect glitchy percussion sample pack generator. Just have to leave it be for a while. Or even better, you can just hook up a drum machine to it. One of the things that I really like about West Coast synthesis is that it's very weird, it's very experimental. And you can do a lot without patching a keyboard or whatever. As soon as you add a keyboard to this, for example, so I've connected the key step. So the dynamic of the sound just lives its life, but I can change the notes whenever I want. Another tool we have right here would be the slew. It will allow me to slow the voltage of the keyboard down. Let's try to make some sort of a classic keyboard kind of patch. I'm going to send the pitch to the yellow oscillator. By doing this, I can also send that straight to the green one. Let's put it back to oscillator mode. Yeah, I can see the beating between the two, so I can tune it even without listening to it. So I've connected 4 outputs to that trace module, so we'll be able to scan between the 4. Send that to the bipolar VCA. I'm going to trigger the top envelope, the yellow one, with the keyboard. I'm going to set it in old mode so I can play like this. This is very nice. Let's use that very slow looping function that I've made earlier to scan between all this. Here is a little play with the SQ1. I will explain the patch as it goes and then just play with it a little bit. The first part is that first 8-step pitch sequence sent the green oscillator. I'm using the triangle wave, and to get that dirty sound, I have the noise output of Bagai sent to the FM input. Gives you that sort of dirty oscillator sound, like there's dust in the circuit. Also makes it a little bit wobbly. Can get different result by changing the noise color. Okay, let's leave it like this, I like it. This is our first part. Now this triangle is going straight into trace in input 1, and in input 2 I have the yellow oscillator final output playing that 7-step sequence. Here I hear only oscillator 2, the yellow one. In 3 I have the pulse wave output modulated as well. We have the fluctuating random voltage, quite slow, sent to the modulation VCA of the Branso, so it is basically modulating everything over here. Volume envelope is the top here, the yellow one in Falistri, using the 4-quadrant multiplier as the VCA. And this cycling function is actually sent to the scan. Using the bipolar output, so I can basically choose where I am on the fader and then add modulation that will go up and down. As I have nothing in 4, I can have tremolo here, wave shaping here, crossfading between 2 oscillators. I also have the sample and hold that is clocked by the main sequencer, the SQ1. It's sent here to perform a bit of True Zero FM on the yellow oscillator. To add a bit more complexity to the timbre whenever I want. So let's go back to the patch as in its simplest form and perform it. Another weird patch. This patch does use a function that's found usually in the Surge system, in the DOSG, Dual Universal Slope Generator. The green function of the Phallus tree can behave like that. What do I mean by that? I mean that this function can be set to retrigger only when the function has ended. So it means if I remove all the controls, here I have a static tone, only one pitch. This pitch is dictated by the green oscillator. And the green oscillator is actually, we don't listen to it. It is sent at the trigger input of that green function. If we set it at 0, we hear the exact same pitch as the oscillator. But as we start to change the time, whether it is the rise or the fall, we start to divide time, and the result of what we hear is frequency division, and it divides the input frequency in a sort of minor harmonic way. So if you then send pitch to that, when I say pitch, I mean CV information, whatever it is, but it is unquantized CV from the no control. And whatever I do, I will have that tonal pitched sequence that's always in tune with this oscillator. I also used the end of rise output sent to the frequency divider. If we listen to the output of that frequency divider, it's a cascaded one, by the way, so it's divided 2 times. So I have a 2-octave down version square wave of this. And as I don't really have a VCA, I mean, what I've decided to do with this is feedback. Instead of listening to it, I'm sending it to the VCA the gray part of the Brenso here, which is a VCA that you can use on its own. So I'm setting the divided by 2 at the input, taking the output back to modulate the rise time. So I can create that weird feedback thing. So this will affect the wave shape basically, but it will also affect the cycle, so it will affect the end of rise. So this is all affecting itself. As this is a VCA, we can control its amplitude. Why not do that with the sample and hold? So it's not always there, just makes the sound bug a little bit once in a while. Second part of the patch is a drone. It used to be in tune, but as I touched everything, now it's in tune again, I guess. And what I used on this is the red part. I'm sending the yellow function into it. And I'm using this signal over here to perform amplitude or ring modulation. What I'm after is a big drone like this. And then I have the fluctuating random voltage controlling the scan here. So basically alternating between the two. Final variation is just using the plus clock output of the guy to clock the sequencer in order to get something a bit more weird that doesn't happen all the time. Let's use the clock minus to change the direction. Many thanks to Frap Tools for sending these modules, and many thanks to you for watching. Special thank you to everyone already supporting me on Patreon. So if you want to support the channel to help me keep going with these videos, please go have a look at the Patreon page where you will find some samples and some teaching as well if you want. You can also buy some stuff from the affiliate links in the description in order to support the channel when you are buying yourself some gear. And you can go grab some music on Bandcamp. Almost everything I do is for pay what you want. On my page as well as on my label page, Concrete Collage, we just released that awesome album by Johnny Trisnare. It's more mini album, so 6 tracks, as said on it. I highly recommend that you check it out. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.